finally here, the end of the road. Hobnobbing Life Reset Book 3. Did it live up to its predecessors? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back to another edition of Drotalks Audiobooks. Dro here, and if you are new to my channel and you love audiobooks, do yourself and me a favor and hit that like and subscribe. That way you can be up to date on some of the best audiobooks on the market today. I also go over deals and in-depth discussions on some of the best audiobooks out today. So with that little commercial off the way, let's talk about Hobnobbing Life Reset Book 3. So, as if you've been watching my channel, you know that I absolutely love this series. I really like book 1. I really like book 2. This is a LITRPG trilogy, and I was stoked. I was ready for this book. I devoured book 1 and 2 very quickly, and then I was waiting for book 3. Luckily, the fortunes and the stars all aligned, and it came out in June, and as soon as it came out, I picked it up and I devoured that book right away. So, does it live up to the hype? Hell yeah. Book 3, I'm going to go into some brief and minor spoilers for books 1 and 2. So, book 1 is basically you follow the character Orwin, who's part of this virtual reality video game where you actually plug in your head into the game. The predecessor of what this Neuralink is going to be. He was an early adopter and he was very talented. He was a programmer and he really knew how to exploit the game. Became very popular, created a huge guild, and was betrayed. And he was betrayed in the most vile way. He was turned into a goblin and cast out. Everyone warned Orwin not to play as a goblin because the game wasn't set up for him to play as a mob. And Orwin didn't want to give the satisfaction to the others and allow them to win all the work that he did, because they do pick up these special skills that if you're the first one to do it, you can teach them on. But if you are eliminated from the game for whatever reason, where you cannot respawn, basically where you delete your character, all those skills go passed on to the next individual. That next individual was the group of people that betrayed Orwin, so he ain't having none of that. Of course, he gets stuck in the game, and from there it gets taken down. It gets worse, you keep going down a rabbit hole. By the time you get to the end of book 1, there's some torture involved. Torture that any human should not be able to endure or experience, and Orwin does go through that because the game can't differentiate him from a player versus an actual component of the game. At this point, his mind is broken. He don't know what's real, he don't know what's not real. Book 2 comes a group of players, which he calls travelers because he can't even differentiate it from his mind. And he has this companion, this AI companion, that's always keeping him in check and be like, hey, this is just a game, Orwin. Calm down, you're acting too much like a goblin. But then at the end of book 2, the people that betrayed him attack. Now, no spoilers here, but I have, I guess, one main spoiler. Orwin does survive. Obviously, there's a book 3. That's why we're here. But I don't want to go into the details. It's just fantastic. So let's go to book 3. Orwin and a couple of his trusty and 2 of his trusty hobgoblins go to an actual hobgoblin community where goblins are considered a very inferior race. So Orwin, throughout the entire book, is trying to quarter his goblin instincts. He just wants to kill like everybody, and he has the power to do so to an extent. There's some very powerful players in this hobgoblin society, and basically the majority of this book follows Orwin and his 2 companions in this hobnob society as he's trying to get resources and trade agreements so he can prepare and defend himself the next time the people that betrayed him attack, or so you would believe. So I'll be honest with you, I was hoping this book was a trilogy, that way I didn't have to wait another 2 or 3 years for the next one. I was about halfway through this book and this audiobook, and I was like, this ain't no trilogy, this is just one more stepping stone. You know, Shermer Kuznets, he got good of that audiobook money. He said, oh, let's extend this journey, because I just couldn't see how this book would be wrapped up, and they dedicated so much time to this hobnob society. Don't mistake that for me not enjoying the story is solid, but I just couldn't see how they were going to wrap it up. So I was pretty much set, like, that's fine. This is book 3. It's not a trilogy. There's going to be a 4th book. There's too many open-ended items, too many plot holes that if they close right now are not going to be concluded. So it's fine. It's just I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna enjoy this next step in the chapter. It's not a big deal. And as Orwin goes through several challenges in this Hobnob society, the best book or the best portion of this series comes to play here as well, and that is Orwin building a community. He did it in book 1. He continued to do it in book 2, and then here he's building a community within the Hobnob society, which really does add to this book, and it got me that part that really got me involved in this lit RPG. So that was there, and seeing how he was going through all this adversity and still triumphing is just fantastic. Orwin is he's the Batman of this universe. You know, where everyone's thinking step 1, 2, and 3, Orwin's already has, you know, he's at step 8, 9, and 10, and then he has variations to all those plans. And then as all of those go awry, he's able to build from the pieces of those plans and build an even stronger plan. So as you go further into, you're still in the Hobnob society. The book's getting close towards the end. I'm really on my way saying this ain't a trilogy, but that's fine because this is a really good story. I'm very happy with it right now. Then all of a sudden, these plot points, all these open loops begin to close up, and then they start to kind of close up faster and faster, but in a way that makes perfect sense to the story. And although the only negative point I would say about this book is that it ends abruptly, but it does so in a way that's very believable to the story and the journey that we've taken so far. So there's a couple items that are left open-ended, but I would say that this trilogy, it has been closed as a trilogy. Shermer Kuznets did it very similar to what Drew Hayes did in the Superpowers universe, where he left a couple Easter eggs open, but you can tell that they were done intentionally to build upon this universe. So Orwin and all these characters, so we can go back and revisit them and see what happens, what's the next step. But all the most prominent plot points, all the ones that needed to be closed were closed. And even though they were done abruptly, it was done in a way that was very exciting. At the end of each book, there's a big battle. This one's no different. There's a big battle. And that big battle is insane when you really get to see what Orwin was planning the whole time. Shumner Kuznets, he was telling me to look left, and I was looking left. I was like, oh, I'm with you. And then he's like, psych, we're taking a right. And I mean, he completely took me by surprise. And that's just a good example of the talent of this very talented writer. Now, as for narration, all 3 of these books were narrated fantastic. So I confirmed Jeff Hayes was the narrator. There's a couple new narrators that started since book 2. One thing that they did, and Danny Bates, he's a fellow booktuber that reviews audiobooks, he actually made this distinction too, and I agree with him 100%. I do not like when multiple narrators narrate a single book. I think it gets confusing. But the people behind this publishing company, they did a good job where book 1 started with just one narrator. And, in that narration, he played goblins, humans, females, males. All the characters that Jeff Hayes played, he still plays throughout the entirety of the series. These new narrators came in, but they voice certain characters. So there's no confusion. It's very flawless and seamless. So, I mean, narration on this book is fantastic. So, do I recommend Life Reset, the trilogy, New Era Online? You bet I do. Go out there, give this book a listen. You will not regret it. If you've listened to Life Reset, comment below. Let me know what you think. Or if there's another lit RPG book that I have that's not on my library or in my lit RPG playlist, I guess it'll be up here. It's going to be on one of these. I'm still not a master of the YouTube yet. Let me know, that way I can go check it out. And as always, this has been Drotalks. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Join that conversation in the comment section. And we'll see you next time.